At the Orange County Community Foundation, we believe in transforming our community's heartfelt intention into greater impact for good. By helping donors find the causes they love, we strengthen our community. We lead the way with bold solutions, combining giving strategy and community intelligence. Leveraging our generous donors and passionate partners, we amplify the power of giving. Together, we are helping to build an Orange County where all have the opportunity to thrive. OCCF is a proud underwriter of community programming and OC World. OC World is made possible by the generous contributions of the Marisla Foundation, the Keith and Judy Swain Family Foundation, Orange County Community Foundation, the University of California, Irvine, Socorro and Ernesto Vasquez Family Foundation, Crevier Family Foundation, and viewers like you. Thank you.
In San Juan Capistrano, a historic mission town midway between Los Angeles and San Diego, a 28-acre farm is at the forefront of Southern California's environmental movement. The Ecology Center, founded in 2008 by Evan Marks, has become a focal point for sustainable living practices and ecological education. Amidst California's ongoing struggles with drought, wildfires, and urban sprawl, this nonprofit is teaching methods to address these challenges and implement practical solutions. The center's programs range from regenerative agriculture, fire-resistant landscaping, community-supported agriculture, to zero-waste initiatives, attracting over 100,000 visitors annually. Today, we'll explore the Ecology Center's impact on local communities and learn if these eco-friendly practices can be replicated in any urban environment. Join me as we speak with the center's founder and its farm director to understand the broader implications of their work. Let's get started. Today, I'm speaking with Evan Marks, the founder of the Ecology Center. Welcome.
Good morning.
So you have added farming to surfing, which is probably not a huge stretch because you're connected to nature, the ocean, the cleanliness of the water. But so was surfing a catalyst for you to want to get into farming?
Yeah, absolutely. As a teenager, I had some experiences that showed me the negative impact that humans have on the environment and, most importantly, the ocean.
What were those?
Picking up trash on the beach closures after the rain, a little bit of education in the classroom that taught me that agriculture was our #1 impact on our oceans. And so all of those were like the opening of my eyes to a new reality and a new future for myself.
Wow, impressive. So did you have any idea that your life would become this incredible 28 acres of ecology?
For a long time I've been working on manifesting this. So I think for a major part of my life I've been working in this direction. Of course, I have so much to be grateful for, which is that the community and so many others have come together to support this and to be a part of this community.
And you have created an incredible symbiotic relationship with the community. Tell us about that and how you keep track of it and monitor it, or have some metrics to show how you've improved upon what's going on in the environment.
Yeah, so much of what we're doing here is to shift the culture. And so I mostly use my gut and my heart as the indicators of success. So mostly anecdotally of looking around the village. So we've created, and we started with an empty lot, literally a dirt lot and a historic farmhouse, and we started putting the pieces back together. So we're evaluating the health of the ecology, which is the land and also a relationship to the land. And so when you look around and you're present at the Ecology Center, what you are today, you start to see health radiating everywhere. You see the joys of the children, from the field trips to the mothers and their families that are coming for an immersive experience, the diners in the cafe, the customers in the farm stand. And so everywhere I look, I am reminded of the progress that we are making.
Hi, so I'm on the farm of the Ecology Center, and we're going to take a walk with Johnny Wilson, who's the farm director here. And ask him everything about regenerative agriculture. Tell us a little bit about what we're seeing here. It just looks like rows and rows of vegetation.
Yeah, so we are here on our 28-acre, like you mentioned, regenerative organic farm. We've just stepped into what we call our market garden. And what that means is it's a garden, literally, that feeds our market.
Wow.
So we've got, a great farm stand here on site. And this area, small 2-acre, highly intensely cultivated, mainly for fruits, flowers, vegetables, and herbs that we harvest daily and put in our farm stand for our customers.
Okay, so I've heard regenerative farming thrown around as something that's very powerful here. Give us regenerative farming for dummies.
Okay, so it's regenerative farming.
Okay. Which means what? Which means
that we start with an organic standard, right? So that means the organic standard is pretty much, we're not putting chemical fertilizers or chemical pesticides on our food.
So how do you
the
keep?
baseline.
I mean, pests can devastate an entire crop.
Correct.
And so how do you combat that with just everything natural, clove and peppermint, or what?
Those are some tools in our tool belt, but we take a more holistic approach to farming. So what we're trying to do is look at nature and try to model an ecology that has all of the natural checks and balances, so nothing gets out of balance, so we don't have large pest outbreaks. And there's lots of different components to that. There's soil health components, there's crop rotation that we do, so we don't grow the same thing in the same place year after year. We make sure that we are growing the right thing at the right time of year. And we also do have those, like you mentioned, like the clove or something like that, oils that we can use if we need to.
So does that make it more, or is that a silly question, does that make it more expensive as an end product? I know we're getting something better because we're not ingesting chemicals, but we have to pay more for that, right?
A little bit, you might need to, but we like to talk here about also values, and where we're putting our values. So, Americans on a whole spend less per pound of food than anybody else in the developed world.
But we'll spend a lot on a pair of shoes.
Exactly, exactly. So, we're here for ecological and human health, so
Right.
we really value that.
Yes.
And so the reason why it becomes a little bit more important is because, or a little bit more expensive, is because part of that regenerative certification that we do, in addition to all those kind of natural ways of farming that we do here, it also has a social aspect to it, whereas we have to pay all of our farm workers a living wage to live here in Orange County. And so agriculture has always been a race to the bottom. How much can we squeeze out of a piece of land for the most amount of money, paying the least, right? Agriculture has long been an exploitative industry, and what we're trying to do is flip it on its head. So if you want people in your community that are paid well, that are provided benefits, that get paid time off to be with their families, that is part of our certification when you see a regenerative organic certification. So you can feel rest assured that when you're buying something that may cost $1 more, rather than, if you're paying $1 for an egg rather than 75 cents or whatever it may be, that we're taking care of people and we're taking care of our ecology.
So good to know.
My background is in agroecology. That was my degree in college. I went to UC Santa Cruz. And so I went to the source of where the organic farming culture was born in the West Coast in the mid-60s, UC Santa Cruz. Alan Chadwick started the farm and garden. And shortly after that, my mentor, Steve Gleesman, came to bring the subject matter of sustainable agriculture to the institution, and that's called agroecology. That's my formal background, but I basically jumped off of the formality pretty quickly in about 2001 and 2002, and spent that since then working on farms and ultimately designing my own ecological oases all over the world. So I've been from Santa Cruz to Latin America, Costa Rica to Mexico to Peru, Ecuador, the Hawaiian Islands, into Africa, all doing these projects similar to the Ecology Center, which is how do we design human settlements that are in harmony with nature such that they can create community and a model for health moving forward. And that was the impetus for me coming back to San Juan Capistrano, or the Orange County where I'm from, which is, can we bring some of these, quote, foreign ideas to Orange County back? And 15 years ago, I started the Ecology Center, and we've been watering these seeds for a while, many seasons, and they keep blossoming and flourishing.
So what challenges along the way have you encountered that caused you to rethink your direction or have to pivot in another direction?
Well, I don't look at decision making in a linear process. So we are just constantly designing our day-to-day reality in relationship to the needs and the opportunities. So, for example, when I started the design challenges, you have 1 acre in a historic farmhouse. What are you going to do to make a difference? And so we built this incredible oasis.
Was that your goal? Was like, how do I take the 1 acre and get the biggest bang for our buck?
That's always not the bang for our buck, the biggest impact, the biggest transformation for our community.
Yes.
We're in it for culture change. We're not in it for profiteering mechanisms, right? We get to live outside the norms of the mainstream commercial society.
Right, but you have to make that work also. It's sort of a balance.
We've built a very sophisticated business model that functions on its own, but that's serving the people, the needs, and also the desires of our future and our children, right? And so this is where I believe very strongly that way we've designed our society, and this is my philosophy, in all forms, is industrialization. We've pulled humans out of nature. We've done that in our food production mechanisms. Right. We treat our earth like a factory, and we've basically commodified our ingredients. And that's happened globally, and now we get to ship them. And we have convenience. And we've done that with our housing developments. We've done that with our apparel, and every other element of society, we've industrialized it. So we've raced away from culture and towards convenience. And what I'm trying to say is that, hey, we can have all of the above. We can have health and well-being. We can have an abundant, beautiful life, healthy children, delicious food, and we can have a well-functioning enterprise to do that.
Right.
And so that's just the basic premise of a triple bottom line, is that it's not just money. That doesn't serve you, it doesn't serve me, because you can't eat that stuff.
Correct.
And you can't actually take it with you when you leave.
Right.
So how do you give more than you take is really what we're trying to do here, which is trying to inspire a new reality. And we're, somewhere between 200 and 500 years as a human species of kind of racing towards this outcome that doesn't provide health or happiness. And so this is hopefully a coming back to reality, which is communities have always come together around the table. Right. And they've always come together around producers and each of us helping each other be better, leave it better than we found it, and help each other along the way. These are just basic common values that I'm trying to shine a light on and being an example of here in San Juan Capistrano.
It seems like you have really a great symbiotic relationship with the community. Now, are these people part of the public? Is the public allowed out here?
Yeah,
to farm?
we give farm tours on the weekends. We are a working farm, so you'll see as we kind of walk around, there are a lot of people that are here doing the work. So we don't really allow the public back here, usually Monday through Friday, kind of during working hours, unless they're guided on a tour or with a group. But on weekends, we have farm tours that take off every weekend, and certain times of the year, like for instance in the springtime when our strawberry crop is on, we invite the public out to come pick strawberries. We've got pick events that happen, all kinds of different ways to get engaged with what we're doing here.
And they get it cheaper than they would because they're picking it themselves, is that right? And plus they get to eat all they want, so it's like a win-win.
Right, it's a win-win.
I've got to take part in that.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the great things that we have here with our culinary department is we're endeavoring down this journey of zero waste.
Yes.
Right? And the food system, as we know, is very wasteful.
Right.
So all of the ingredients that we grow here, whether it finds the best and highest use, which would be through the sale to our farm stand directly to the community. If it has a little bit of a blemish on it, or if it goes to the farm stand, it doesn't sell right away, we've got a great culinary community that can take those things and transform them into great value-added products, or it shows up in the cafe, as a cooked ingredient or in a soup or something like that. So we've got lots of different avenues for our produce that we can utilize, so we create no waste here on the farm.
That's fantastic. So what are some of the biggest benefits that you get from regenerative agriculture and other practices that you implement here?
I guess one of the biggest benefits that you get with regenerative farming is, knowing that we're farming in the most sustainable way that we can. So we are stewarding our soil for the next generation to come. We're not mining it. We're not pulling all the nutrients out.
So you're doing things that put back in.
Correct. We're constantly replenishing our soils, and that grows the most, nutrient-dense food, right?
And
so healthy soils grow healthy food.
But how do you put it, like our viewers may be wondering, how do you put it back into the soil?
Sure.
You're not pouring anything in there.
No, well, we do. We have, and one of the main additives that we do is compost, right? And then so we put a lot of compost down. And another thing that we do to give back to the soil is cover crop. So we plant things that we don't harvest. So we grow, we have an example right over here, I can walk you towards it.
Okay, and back to the compost, where are you getting the compost materials?
We make some of our own here. So
and that would be just...
So we use a lot of what comes out of the cafe, and a lot of the, kind of when we clean up produce to sell in our farm stand, there's some trimmings and things like that we use, that we compost here on site. And then also, we work with a great urban composter that helps us supply our farm with the
cow manure?
Really, no, we don't have any manures because we'd like to use our local resources.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of animal agriculture in the county anymore.
I know.
But we do have a lot of trees still, and there are a lot of urban street trees that all the trimmers bring, and then so he takes out all that, makes a beautiful compost. So all of the carbon and all of the tree trimmings stay in our community. Wow. And so we're able to put it right back on the farm and right back on the ground to sequester a lot of carbon.
Doesn't that take forever for that tree material to break down?
It takes we can probably do it in 140 to 160 days. So he has a large site, and we're using lots and lots of different techniques to fill the compost with really, really good beneficial biology. And then so we can bring it and put it back on the ground here, which is really amazing.
So you were going to tell us about
this. Here, this is one of the ways that we give back right here. This is a cover crop that we're growing. And you can see there's grasses, there's little buckwheat flowers in there. We put legumes in there for the nitrogen. And we'll grow this up. When we don't harvest anything out, we actually put it right back in the ground. So that feeds all of the microbiology in the ground and helps us grow healthy crops.
So just like the human body we need our vitamins, or we're short on a particular vitamin, you're testing your soil to make sure it has all the particular nutrients that it needs.
Correct.
And these cover crops give it back those nutrients so that you have incredibly rich soil that's going to produce these beautiful, robust vegetables and fruits.
You nailed it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I see the school children coming in for tours. It'd be interesting to know how they feel when they come and how they feel when they leave from learning about the organization and learning where the food comes from. I wonder if some of the kids really don't know where it all comes from.
Well, I think of us in education, I think of us all as kids, regardless of your age, because we are all very new to some basic ecological principles and realities of like where our food comes from and what foods are in season right now and how to cook a simple, basic, healthy meal and how to support your neighbors, etc. So I think back to what is the experience that the children are having, I invite you to ask that to them because that'll be really inspiring. But one of our greatest successes back to how we evaluate our impact is the feeling that people get when they step onto this incredible piece of land, this historic property that's been stewarded for 140 years, that the city protected in 1990 and stopped the development, began the reconnection of relationship and health. So for children of all ages, coming here is an inspiring, heartwarming experience. And that's ultimately what we're moving towards is in the body, feeling that there's joy and inspiration happening rather than in the head. So we're not a heady academic organization that's quantifying some of the things that you may expect us to do, but we are looking at how do we shift the culture by just having more fun together, by laughing, by eating, by being together in meaningful ways.
Yeah, that's just so fantastic.
Yeah.
I feel like going back to the basics, we need to do that sort of globally with all issues surrounding our lives.
Everyone wants good things in their community, and
Right.
this is a very strong exemplary of positive change that's a benefit to everyone. And so we are lucky to be in the seats that we are, which is of here of service, and ultimately into just following the journey and picking up momentum as we go, season by season. And ecology is fascinating. Is it challenging at times? For sure, but we also, the microclimate of the soil and sort of just the general climate of weather is incredible here. Like, this is some of the greatest farmland in all of the world, right here. And so the fact is that we just developed another 25, 30 acres of it next door is a disaster. And so this is up to us. It's Orange County for a reason. Like, this is some of the most fertile soil in the world, and it's almost all gone. And so from a climate standpoint, in the geography of Orange County and Southern California, like, no, the time is right to put the pieces back together.
Right. Well, what can you do to mitigate that
This is the mitigation at the local and the global level, because you put the ecology back together, the earth is starting to heal itself. You see thousands of trees out there that are now starting to not just sequester the carbon, but they're starting to manage the stormwaters and the rainwaters, and they're starting to create the habitat. They're starting to create the balance between the people and the planet. That's why farming is such a rad endeavor, because it is one of those lightning rods, and that's why I've been inspired by this for 25 years. It is the healing. It is the way that we come back to one, which is this is how it's always been, and that this is actually our path towards the future. Because if we keep industrializing, and I don't want to, there's some language there that I was about to use that's not appropriate, but if we keep taking and taking and taking, then our climate crisis is going to continue to expand and accelerate. And so this is how do we do this at scale is the real question. Right now we're working on the acre scale. And there are many other organizations and farmers that are working at the thousands of acre scale. And it's going to take everything in between, but ultimately the invitation, like I said, is back to the individual at home that is not in the stewardship of the land, is to support consciously with those precious resources with people that are doing the right thing.
Gosh, and shouldn't it be an easy solution? Because if we knew what this food, like so say for example, fast food does to a child's brain versus food, close to nature, it's incredible how the brain functions differently. So wouldn't we want to do all we can to make sure that we give that resource to our young, generations?
Well, just bringing it back to climate change. I mean, we can continue to perpetuate disaster and exploit the earth at all costs so that a few people can profit. And some of us are concerned about price because we're not paying attention. We're running to value when we need to be running to values. When we can spend $1 more and make a good decision. And that's what that invitation is.
Wow.
And so it's in the brain, it's in the heart, it's at the individual and at the global scale and everything in between.
Yeah, you are so passionate about it. If you had to give one sentence to your passion, like what just trips your trigger in the morning, what would that be?
I mean, what we're endeavoring to do is to reconnect us to health and harmony with planet Earth. And so that's what I'm leaving you with, which is just putting the pieces back together to remember the ways and create a path forward that has health and well-being for the most amount of people.
Well, you're a wealth of information on all things ecology. This has been a real pleasure. Thank you so much. We just scratched the surface, but it's been fantastic. Thank you so much, Evan Marks. Yeah. I'm Kristina Dodge for OC World. Well, I just see such a huge contrast from my backyard where I'm trying to grow, the color of the soil. Yeah. This is so incredibly dark and rich.
Yeah, and we like to take a little bit of credit for that, but really this is just nature at work. And we're here in the San Juan Creek watershed, right? This is an alluvial plain. Doheny is only 1.5 miles. So you can imagine for, in geologic time, this plain has been flooding and receding and flooding and receding. So we've got these rich alluvial, deep soils here in San Juan.
With
that we're able
incredible
to take in-
nutrients.
With incredible
Yes.
nutrients.
Yes.
It's got a great water holding capacity, which can be both a blessing and a curse.
Right.
Because it takes a while for it to dry out.
Have you seen the community come more together and become more involved over the years as they see the Ecology Center grow and do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got such a strong, supportive community here. And it just, we've kind of expanded exponentially in the 5 years that I've been here. And I think it just goes to show how many people are so hungry for this type of work and this type of connection,
Well, and you've taken stewardship of the land very seriously.
Yeah,
It's-
definitely. Yeah.
It's admirable.
And it's stewardship of the land, but really we're stewarding the community,
Right.
and we're providing the opportunity for people to come here, for people to come together, to get to know one each other, to have conversations, and hopefully, build better futures for each other,
Right.
And
Yeah.
have reasonable conversations with people, and everything kind of, centers around the table and centers around food, and really getting back to some of the fundamentals.
Well, Johnny, this has been such a delight to see how serious you are about the stewardship of the land, bringing the community together, providing robust, tasteful fruits and vegetables, and doing it in such a responsible way. Composting the whole bit. It's been a real pleasure.
No
Thank
problem.
you
Thanks
so much.
so much for coming out. We really love
Yes.
having you guys.
And I am going to close and run straight to that farm stand and buy the fruits and vegetables for my kids before it runs out. I'm Kristina Dodge with OC World. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Johnny Wilson.
No problem. Support your local farmer.
As we've seen today, the Ecology Center in San Juan Capistrano is more than just a farm. It's a vibrant hub for sustainable living. It's proving that small changes can have big impacts. But the real power of the center lies not just in what happens within its 28 acres, but in how it inspires change beyond its borders. Each visitor, each workshop participant, each student who walks through these gates carries a seed of knowledge back to their own communities. So, as we leave this Eco Center today, let's ask ourselves, what small change can we make in our daily lives? Maybe it's starting an herb garden on your windowsill, or joining a local community garden. Perhaps it's rethinking your water usage, or simply sharing what you've learned with a neighbor. Remember, every great forest began with a single seed. What will you plant today? I'm Kristina Dodge with OC World. Thanks for joining us on this journey towards a more sustainable future.